right, everyone, welcome back to Quick Fix. I am your host, Chris P, and I am joined by the movement king, an absolute demon on the Warzone, an absolute demon on the ball court, Mr. Joewo. What is up, brother?
Hey, that's got to be the most gas I've had in a minute, bro. What's good, man? I'm glad to be here, bro.
What's
Glad,
happening?
glad to be here, man.
I had to lie about the basketball pod just for the sake of keeping things
Hate
okay right
us.
there. But if we ever met on the basketball court, you give me 15 seconds out there because that's all I have in me nowadays. Like, and then I'll start seeing stars. But like that 15 seconds, I'll lock you down.
Listen. Hey, let's not downplay 15 seconds, bro. That's a long time, all right? But it's actually it blows my mind how for the longest time, like throughout college and stuff, I could play ball all day, be fine. I'm good. Now I can't even do like one run up the court and I'm gassed. It's like the most embarrassing thing ever. I'm like, I gotta get in shape, but I've been saying that for the last like 3 years. So you know,
Yeah, it's an uphill battle. How old are you, by the way?
25.
25. Oh, damn, you're old. Not as old as me, but you're getting old. In like
I'm an
esports
old
years,
man. Oh,
you're
I'm
elderly.
an ancient. And it's so crazy too because I'm like so late to gaming. Like I wish I could have played the OG games like the Black Ops 3s at like 18 or like 16, how cracked I would be. Like, bro, like I just started playing COD at like 21. Like I'm late.
I mean, that's just a perfect segue. Let's get into the meat and the potatoes then. I mean,
Let's do
so
it.
you started late. Where did Joewo first make his debut when it comes to content creation? And before that, with video games in general, what was the first game that you remember being like, holy shit, I love this?
Black Ops 4 Blackout. That is the first game, Call of Duty's first ever BR. That was the game that like hooked me like for good. That game was so much fun. Obviously, like there's like some drama, some like if Blackout was like free to play and cross play, it could have been huge. I disagree because it came out at the worst time during peak Fortnite, but that game was so incredible and that game like hooked me for good. And like I'm just a BR kid now. From that to freaking Warzone, I'm just hooked and like that like just started the whole journey of content.
I think it's so funny to think of that, you can argue, PUBG and H1Z1 for like battle royales, but Fortnite was really the one that pioneered the BR space. And till this day, you can say what you want about the game, the fan base, like
Yep.
if it's declining, growing, what have you, but that game is not going anywhere. And it's like they do the best job with keeping things spicy and keeping things fresh in the in-game events, and they have Optimus Prime showing up that it's
Dude,
rumored and like
I say that all the time, and everyone's like, "No, like, that's dude." Fortnite, even if I don't even like the game, you could think it's a kids game, whatever, bro. They had like the start or the growth of gaming too, bro. They had Ninja and Drake, bro, playing Fortnite together. That was like peak, like what is going on? Like what is this gaming thing? And then on top of that, their skins. They have like thousands of skins, like customizable everything. Like, bro, that game, they've been doing it right for the longest time. Like, even if I don't play it, I still respect everything that they do there because it is crazy, man. They absolutely crush it.
it's changed lives. It's funny to think of that moment with Drake and Ninja because it's easy to kind of look past that Travis Scott was involved too. It's like, oh yeah, like Drake and Ninja, but like people forget Travis Scott was playing it too, and
Yep.
that stream will go down in history as like one of the biggest streams of all time, and it is statistically. But it was just like it brought to the light what this space can really be. And I joke with my friends all the time, and they're like, "You're such a moron, you're such a moron." But my joke with them is Ninja made gaming cool, and
No, dude, I say no, but that's bro. I am so glad somebody else agrees with me. I say that also all the time. Like when he was playing with like athletes, like I said, Travis Scott and Drake, like that. That's like that made gaming like yo, Drake's doing it, bro. Like Drake's playing, like now it's like normal. And even seeing now how many athletes, rappers, everybody games, and like it's cool to say like yo, like I'm a gamer, I'm a streamer now. Like that's cool. But like prior to that, I feel like people didn't talk about it that much.
it's pivoted. When I was growing up, it was like if you were a nerd, you were a nerd in silence. Like if you weren't the people that were screaming it next to their lunch table, like I watch anime and all that stuff, like you were a hidden nerd if you were that. Like you didn't talk about it. But now it's like, I was cool before it was cool. But it's like pivoted from, geeks in a basement to people that are well established for themselves normal. And I think it's perfect for the old heads to see people like yourself, who are playing these video games for X amount of time per day, and you can sit down and have a normal ass conversation, And if
Yep.
you told me, oh yeah, during the day I work at like a marketing agency or I do sales for a living or I work IT, be like, oh cool, like yeah, no, I could see that. But no, you're a content creator, and I think it's a lot cooler
Yep.
than those other
No,
jobs.
no, for sure. And it's like crazy because I've met so many people too that like they still see it like that of like, yo, like everybody in the game's like mad weird, like they're like super weird in person. And like I've had people tell me like, oh, you're actually like a normal guy. I'm like, yeah, why would or like, yo, like you're actually like pretty like nice in person. I'm like, yeah, why would I not be? And they're like, I just see like gaming as like you're just like online, like only like like you don't ever leave your room or don't touch grass. I'm like, dude, like I like going outside. I like going to events. Like I like going out. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah. Most gamers I feel like are that are like creators are like that. It's so funny to see a ton of people say that.
Yeah, it's turned into entertainment. That's what it is. If you are an entertainer, you have to be sociable to some extent, and majority of the time you're doing it behind a computer. But that doesn't mean you can't do it in person. But with you pursuing content creation, obviously when you were growing up, I don't know what your mindset was, what you wanted to be when you grew up. Did you always like? I know that you started late, but was there a piece of your mind growing up was like, I would love to pursue video games for a living, or did you have another dream job?
Never. So I don't since I was probably 7 or 8. I played sports my whole life, and that's where like I'm just like a hyper competitive person, which is why I only like games that are like super competitive. Like I can't play the like story mode campaign. Like hopefully someday because like I know there's a lot of games that are like really good games that are like story mode like campaign stuff, but I've played sports my entire life and like I've just been a hyper competitive person. So then as that transition to streaming, I'm like, yo, I need to play a game that's competitive, and that's how I've just like found the love for COD. But basically like throughout my whole life, I was just like straight sports. Like I said, I love basketball even still. But throughout college and stuff, I just like saw very, very quickly that the whole like brat party life, like that's just not for me. And like I tried it and I was like, that's just not my thing. And obviously, it's like everybody that I was friends with was going out to parties, like doing a ton of things. I was like, what am I gonna do on a Friday night when everybody else is out? I'm like, and the gym's closed, everything's closed. I was like, so I found gaming, and that's like where that passion just grew. And from a childhood though, I had no idea what Twitch, YouTube gaming, anything was like until college. So I'm like so late to that. But I think that it can help me out too because I don't see the route of creation like a lot of people do that is like the OGs from the scene. Like I see it as like a brand new kind of journey of content.
Yeah, it's evolving, and like I think that's cool where it's an escape for a lot of people, but it's also a place that a competitor can still be competitive without having to be physically active. And I think that's the beauty in having these esports programs in schools now. Because if you weren't gifted into, the right genetics, and, you're not tall enough to play on the basketball team, and, you're not strong enough to play on the football team, but you want to be a competitor, it gives people the ability to compete now and learn these personal skills and discipline and everything like that, and still be part of a team and have that camaraderie. So I love that that's a thing in college now more than ever. But I attest a lot of my competitive nature to playing sports growing up, and I'm the same way when it comes to video games where I will play multiplayer until I burn myself out before I touch a campaign. And it goes backwards with what a lot of people will say. I do enjoy the Call of Duty campaigns. I think they're phenomenal. But I also love having that game that I have for my me time where it's just like, I don't stream, but like, you're off stream. You're not in a Discord call with anyone. You just want to sit back in your room alone and play that game. And I think that's where I found a love for like, MMOs, so like your World of Warcrafts of the world and stuff like
Yep.
that, where you could just sit there, crank music up, and just grind stuff out. Do you have any of those games that you kind of play in your U time, or are you strictly Call of Duty nowadays?
Pretty much COD for streaming. If I'm not streaming, once in a while, I play a lot of 2K because, like I said, I played that. Like I love freaking basketball. But the thing about 2K though that's cheesy is because I played basketball like basically my whole life. It's there's so much cheese in 2K, and I guess like it's kind of the same thing for COD, because like all everyone's like, dude, like COD ain't no realism, and it's like real, and like so like people that say that, I'm like the same person for the sports side. I'm like, that's not real life basketball. Like it's there's so much cheese in sports games. Like, dude, that doesn't work like that. Like that's what pisses me off on 2K. But like if I'm not streaming, and I'm probably playing some 2K, so
2K's fun. I like the My Park, how you can like run around with your buddies and like do pickup games and shit. And now they're starting to build storylines into it, which is really cool. And they're geniuses when it comes to in-game ad placement. So I'll give them that.
ad placement, their clothes. They have like night, like every shoe you can have like personalize your whole player to be you or anything, and it's like that's actually so smart and cool.
When you were becoming a content creator, was it in the time where you should have been in college or were in college?
Yes, so I was streaming my junior year of college, and that's kind of when it, I guess you could say, like I got hooked, and then COVID hit, graduated college, and I had a route to either go to grad school. And I was like, okay, do I go the safe route? How I had friends saying that, family saying that, and they're right. Go down the safe route of grad school. And I was like, yo, I'm about to, try this path. Or I could try something that I love to do, which is like streaming, gaming, and content. And I kind of said, okay, I'm going to give myself 1 year to try this streaming thing. And I saw it as like the grand scheme of life, 1 year is absolutely nothing, right? It's absolutely nothing. And I would have rather tried to do it and failed than not tried, and in 20 years, 30 years been like, if only I tried content. I would hate to think of if only I tried, right? So I tried it, and for that whole year, I didn't take a day, I had off 2 days for my twin sister's wedding, which I was trying to be like, yo, can I stream those days? But obviously, but for that whole year, I was literally just like on my super grinding content, streaming all the time, and it just exploded.
How was your support system around you when you were like, I'm not going to grad school, I'm going to pursue this dream of mine? Was there like, I don't know who's in the picture for you, but like, was there hesitance, hesitance, I don't know how to pronounce that, but on your family, your friends,
Yeah.
like, you might be making a mistake?
Um, from friends and I guess you could say like not close family. Yes, because they had no clue about streaming or content, just like me. They had no idea. They're like, yo, Joe, let's think about this for a second. You're about to pass up going to grad school to get your freaking master's degree in finance, right? Or this little gaming thing. Like, for them, right? But for me, I was like, yo, this is like my passion. So they didn't see this out, but like the one person that I give like the most credit to is my freaking mom. She's awesome. And she's like, yo, said the same thing. She's like, yo, I don't know a thing about gaming, but it's something that you love to do. So just grind at it, work hard, and it will pay off. And and even still, she tries to like learn about it. But she's like if that is like your passion, go for it. Which I still like credit her so much because she's freaking incredible.
You need that. I feel like with especially someone that close to you, with your mom actually believing in it, and obviously she wants to see her son happy. Whatever you do is gonna make her happy. You say you wanna, work at Walgreens for the rest of your life, but it makes you extremely happy. There's nothing wrong with working at Walgreens. I want to say that now. But like, if that's
Exactly.
what you want to do, and she wants to see you happy, like, yeah, like support you 1,000%. When it comes to what you do, I see people trying it and giving up on it, not seeing traction, but like not worth it anymore. And they don't really put in the work, and they expect it to be an overnight success, which is not what it is. And it takes a lot of discipline to stay on it and hard work that goes around it. And I'm going to get personal with you a second because I relate to it too. Do you attest your past of, having a single parent to your work ethic?
A cajillion percent. She, like I say all the time, like I like favorite thing is to get her stuff now, because she sacrificed my entire childhood. She was like literally, she didn't buy herself new clothes, she didn't buy herself shoes. She was buying me basketball shoes or anything. If I had friends that were going to the mall she was always trying to do things for me her whole life as a single parent. And that like changed that for me to see that she was putting like things that she could have done. She could have been doing anything, hobbies that of friends that she has, going on trips, doing anything, and she was putting her kid before herself. And like now to work hard, that is one of the reasons that I grind and just work as hard as I can, is to give back to her for all of those years that she spent just putting me first. So I agree. I say that 1,000,000%, because she works incredibly hard at everything too her whole life, and that is like 100% the reason like why I'm so passionate for jobs or anything.
It's a double edged sword, you know. Like I was 14 when I lost my mom, and I remember, you know, as years went on, obviously it doesn't get easier, but you at some point you're like, I'm glad it was me and not someone else, because I took it in stride. I could have went the wrong way, but I decided not to, and like didn't use it as a crutch, but I used it as motivation. And I'm happy, you know, to say it made me who I am today. It's, you know, not great, you know, I don't love it, but like I'm happy it was me, and I could have took it in stride and, you know, use it as that fuel to, you know, try to do something for my sister, try to do something for my brother. Like I think,
Awesome.
you know, having that reason why, you know, for myself, for you, it's something that not a lot of people have. Maybe they just see the money and they go towards the money, and then they don't see the money coming in. They're like, why bother anymore? Like you always have to have that reason why with literally everything. And I'm happy, you know, your mom could be your reason why. I think that's awesome. Um,
First and foremost, so freaking sorry to hear that. And like 100%, dude, I think that, um, like you said, like I wouldn't choose that for anybody in the world, but I've learned so much from that, of being like, dude, every single day is a blessing, right? Being able to just wake up and know, like, to chase something that you love to do, whether that's freaking water polo, crocheting, gaming, whatever it is, like being able to wake up and just do something that you love to do every single day is a blessing, because every nobody is promised tomorrow, even today, right? Nobody has promised that. And seeing how fast somebody's life can change, that stuff, like I would absolutely hate to then, like I said, no, in 30 years, say, if only I tried gaming. Like, why not try, man? Like, why not try? I'm not promised tomorrow. I'm not promised next week. Like, why not try for something that I'd love to do? And like that is, again, hate it for me, for anybody that ever goes through that. But that is like a thing that shaped me as a person and creator, for that why, that has just changed like my whole life perspective.
I think it comes with age too. You know, age and wisdom. You know, you could be young at heart, but you realize as you get older, there's no dollar sign on peace of mind, and you know, just like being happy. Like you can, you know, do what makes you happy, and you know, it's you could have all the money in the world. If you're still miserable, you're miserable in a Rolls Royce. It's you know, there's
Yep.
just you just have a bigger box to be sad in.
Yep.
So it's you know, just be happy, do what makes you happy, and you know, I'm happy that you're happy. You know, I'm happy you're pursuing what you have. But one thing that doesn't make a lot of people happy nowadays, and I would love your input on it, is the state of Warzone. And we're not going to sit here and rip into the game, but we're going to give constructive feedback, you know, something that can make the game better. Something about yelling into the ether on Twitter about things that suck is nothing gets done because
Yep.
things aren't handled the right way. I think that when it comes to games that we don't enjoy, I think there's a better way that the community as a whole can pass along this feedback instead of just yelling it from the rooftops. And I know sometimes it feels like you're yelling into the ether and no one's listening, so you have no idea. You don't know what to do but to yell it. But let's go back to the Verdansk days before we kind of go into where we go from here. So that is where your, I don't know if it's self-proclaimed or community proclaimed movement king came from, which was a very fluid Call of Duty. It was built on the MW19 engine.
Hmm.
You know, what were those times like looking back at Verdansk for you? What do you think of?
Seeing it now, it's just crazy. One, how big like peak Warzone was, bro. It is actually like mind blowing. But just seeing it now, obviously as it changed over to Warzone 2, but like how just smooth everything played, how the guns played, how just the mechanics of the game felt so smooth. And the great thing is then too, like you could play and be an absolute demon at the game, movement demon. But like you could also play the complete opposite and just snipe on a building for no and just not move the whole game. And both play styles could work. Now it's like we're forced into like this one like way to play, and there's nothing that like players can do to use the mechanics of the game to like get better. And like the OG days of Verdansk were just so amazing because everything just felt buttery smooth. Like it felt like what you were trying to do, you could do, and now it's just tough.
It's a good point because I remember back in the day I used to watch I believe his name was Iron or it's Iron.
Yep.
And he
Yep.
was a completely different type of player. He was very tactical, rotation based, positioning based, and he was, on the top of the leaderboards, and he was, claimed as one of the best players in the game, and he was great in private matches when those rolled around too for those tournaments. But then you have people like, yourself and like the Scummins of the world and like all these people who could just Huskers, all these guys that can just fly and just like take over a game just with their gun skill and movement. And it's a really good point that I never thought of. Like both play styles were rewarded there. And I feel like at some point it pivoted away from allowing people to be good with the hand that they're dealt and kind of just making more RNG. And maybe that's catering more to the casual base. I think that is what it is. But what are your thoughts on that? Is it more casual based focus now?
I think so, 100%, because now even like I played not that long ago, but I played again, and even in Warzone 2, it's crazy to me how much even aim assist wise, you get so much more aim assist in Warzone 2 than Warzone 1. And I've seen a ton of people say like, but like Modern Warfare 3 could come out, they could be a jetpack, and for me, again, I hope I'm wrong, but they've already gone down the path of like Warzone 1 had like a pretty high skill gap later in the game, but just in general, just a pretty good skill gap. Warzone 2, that obviously changed a lot. And then they can't go on to the next game or whatever their plan is and go to like a jetpack COD because they're already going down the path of like less skill gap, catering to the like very casual player, which, and like I said all the time, that's not a bad thing. That's how their game will grow and just explode is if the casual player can have fun and compete. I don't think it's right? Obviously, coming from a sports background, if I can't shoot, I can't shoot. They shouldn't make the rim bigger for me because I can't shoot. I got to get in the gym, work on my shot in game, my movement, my game sense, my game knowledge. You should be practicing those things to get better. And you should see that in your game. And I can kind of see that as sports of like, if I can't shoot, I go to the gym and practice shooting. The goal shouldn't get larger. But I think it's just going down the path of like the game's gotten so much more casual that they can't take a jump backwards to like a jetpack COD. I would love that. But like, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I think if a game's good or not is completely subjective. People can love this, people can hate it. The words "a good game" is 100% subjective. So like just because we don't enjoy it or because you don't enjoy it doesn't mean other people can't. So like if you do enjoy it, like we're not knocking you, just enjoy what you enjoy. Doesn't mean you don't have an opinion on it, but I don't. Every time a Call of Duty comes and goes, so say MW2, right? We're in now. I really liked Vanguard. I did. I liked Vanguard last year, but I don't know if that is just me not liking the current game that makes it seem like I like that one more. Because I think at the time I didn't like it. And I don't know if it's the same for, Warzone now that like, once what was it called? Yeah, Caldera came out after Verdansk. Like I don't know if it was because I just didn't like Caldera that much or that made me hate Verdansk. Like would we still love Verdansk if that was the only map we had right now?
See, that's a great question that I say all the time. Now, at the end of Caldera, because they made a ton of changes, right? I loved Caldera. I even said, and like I'll stand on this, the end of Caldera, like at the very end, before obviously this game, that it may have been better than Verdansk. I'm not even kidding you. I say it all the time. But I think people forget when Verdansk was like getting towards the not towards the end, but like for a while, there was rumors of like a brand new Warzone map, all that, and everybody was like, "Yo, we need a new map. Like Verdansk sucks. Like we need a new map." And people were literally get this map out of here. We need a new map for Warzone. And then the new map came, which mind you, it was bad from the start. So if they had the end of Caldera with all the changes and stuff that they had at the beginning, it would have been, bro, tenfold. People would have loved it. The problem is that as they dropped the map, console players couldn't even play. There was bugs. It was bad from a dev side, not from the map side. But obviously, everybody was complaining during Verdansk towards the end how bad Verdansk was and was asking for a new map. So I think a lot of people, obviously, for all games, people just like love to like go back and something like, dude, like if Verdansk was back, it'd be all better. I don't see it like that.
Yeah, it's and I sound naive by saying this because I'm not the one developing video games, but I don't know how long it goes to make these changes. I'm sure it takes a long time to actually move these assets around and get rid of this, get rid of that, add that. But like you have a small window of hype around a game.
Yep.
It's and once you lose that, it's close to impossible to get it back. If you have to
Impossible.
keep it in the oven for another month or two, get people pissed off that the game's delayed, but keep it in the oven and then completely present it when it is 100% cooked. I think that's okay, but it's difficult at a bigger company, and I'm not speaking for them, when you have shareholders and people like get it out, like where's the money, like all stuff like that. Like you're
Yeah.
under a crunch all the time, and you're just like, we just have to get it out. We got to keep everyone happy, which is why I have a lot of love for indie developers because they're able to take those risks. Like it's high risk, high reward for them. They're able to do this cool shit that no one's ever done before because there's no expectations.
100%, dude. I say that all the time. Is I wish they could have kept the map in the oven. Like you said, I say that so much because I'm like, dude. The thing is, like you said, when people, if it drops, if a map drops, if a game drops, and it's bad and there's bugs, and let me tell you, bro, the majority of people that play Call of Duty are on console, right? So when Caldera dropped, console players, bro, the map wasn't even loading in. The map was so bugged for them, and that instantly, like, they're not getting those players back. If they can't even play the game, they're gonna hate it. Like, if it drops bad, they're gonna hate it. Like you said, it's near impossible to get them back, and like, it just blows my mind how even that stuff can happen. Of like, devs not play. I don't even know how all of the play testing, even trying out a game like goes. Obviously, it's a lot, right? But even like how that stuff happens where that can happen and then it turns off so many people. And like even now, I had a ton of people say like they played the map like twice, and because it didn't even load in, they didn't touch Warzone again.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
It's so tough at that point. But speaking of people coming back in, ranked, Warzone ranked. I know you've been playing a shit ton of that. How do you feel about that? And do you think it's a little too late, or what do you think?
I wouldn't say it's too late. It's definitely given a ton of people a spark of like of passion for the game to actually be playing in skill-based matchmaking lobbies for something, right? Like the game hasn't changed. Nothing has changed except you have a cool like symbol, right? But like actually playing for something is really cool. The problem is, and again, this is I don't think it'll ever change, but I wish for ranked, the point of a ranked play is to have a actual competitive skill gap, right? Like there's a skill gap in the game. I look at other games like Fortnite, like games that have a actual like successful ranked play, Valorant, right? And it's like if you have a ranked play, it's got to have a skill gap. You cannot have a ranked play based on the exact same foundation of the game. The foundation of Warzone does not have a skill gap. The time to kill is way too fast. There's no movement. Guns again kill ridiculously quick, and there's no skill gap in the game. You can't take that exact same core of the game and take it to ranked because then it's still not a ranked play. If you say go to a game like Valorant, is a pro Valorant player top of the top gonna ever die to a gold player? Never, never, ever, ever. If you go to a game like Apex Legends, is a professional Apex Legends player, is How or Sweet Dreams or any of those guys gonna ever die to somebody that's a hard stuck gold in Apex? Never in their life. In Fortnite, is a bot gold player, or I say bot, but like is a ranked player in gold gonna ever kill clicks? Never. In Warzone, it happens all the time on accident. Like there's little like players you can tell that they accidentally killed you, and that's not a competitive skill gap, and that's the problem that ranked has, I think.
Yeah, I mean, all valid. I don't have much of an input on that. I tried to play it the other day. My computer was like coughing when I was booting the game up, so I was like, yeah, I can't really run this thing. Honestly, sometimes in the winter, if like I don't feel like putting the heat on, I just run Warzone and just leave the doors open, so it warms my house up.
Bro.
But my computer doesn't like it.
Dude, those fans start literally the second that you just boot the game, your whole PC sounds like a jet engine, bro. Because Warzone, I'm telling you, I don't know, it is not optimized to say the least. Because that thing is every update we just go down in frames. Like I swear, like every update's like you lose 50 FPS an update for sure.
Yeah, it's nutty. One thing I want to talk about with you, really quick, because I know this is a piece of the past, if you would. What would it take for a professional CDL player to, be able to come into Warzone and really make a big splash in these tournaments? Do you think there's, a chance on them being able to just pick it up tomorrow and be decent at the game?
Oh, bro, dude, a million. But they have the best gunny in the world. They have the best gunny in the freaking world. Absolutely. The thing is, I mean, I guess this is like kind of the same thing as my number one like pet peeve is I feel, and obviously they're scrimming and practicing and all that kind of stuff, right? But is like there's a lot of like COD pros that don't make content, and I feel like if and some are starting to, which is amazing. But like I feel like that is like such an untapped piece of like seeing like COD pros like try out playing Warzone, right? And they can. The thing is there is definitely brains to any BR knowing like when to like rotate, when to not fight teams, like how to like play certain zones, rotation, storms, like all that stuff. That if they could get the brains for all of that stuff, oh, they could be easily top. And they obviously can because that's the same game that they're playing, but for like search, knowing like timings, like things like that, hard point, like rotations. It's the same thing, but just in Warzone, right? Like they could 100% do it.
I think you raise a good point, and I tell our guys this all the time too with like creating content. You're only going to compete for a finite amount of time, and you want to be able to do something when you actually retire from competing when it comes to, the CDL or competitive Call of Duty, what have you. And I think that's why we saw people like Methods and like Tommy Zuma, these guys that have found so much success after their competitive career because they just were still creating on the side of competing. And maybe that's a flawed system with, how much these guys practice and the time of the day or the expectations that are set for them. I don't think it's that way with our guys, but it's just, in general around the league. But, content is king, and people will stop by for your gameplay, but stay for your personality and stay for who you are. And if you don't show the people who you are, they think you're just, just a person that plays twice a week, and
Yep.
that's about it. So that's
I
one
agree.
thing. I want to see that change so bad because some of these guys have such good personalities. Like, we'll talk about our team for a second. Like, Joe Awakening seems like the most quiet person in the world. He is hilarious. He's like one of
Yep.
the best people ever. You have Ben Beans, who's absolute comedy. Like, if you just booted the stream up for a little bit and just showed people, get on fucking TikTok, pay someone a couple $100 a month to be in your stream clipping stuff and posting on your behalf. You guys get paid, just have
And
that.
sorry,
You're good.
but like those guys too. It's like, dude, those guys have the best gunny in the world. Like I can do like guides to aiming, but like, bro, if like I'm a new like COD player and I see Joewo or a COD pro does a guide to aiming, I'm watching the COD pro. Like this guy is in the CDL. They have the best gunny in the world. Like they can do so many things of like even like coaching guides, like all that stuff. And I guess a question for you too is I think they should, but again, I don't see it from their side either because I haven't ever tried to play COD Pro, right? But I think teams should like stream all the time and should stream like their like scrims and stuff. Obviously, if they're playing like towards champs or things like that, that's a little bit different. But I think the team should start to stream their scrims.
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, they definitely do because everyone's still learning the game. So you're not really giving away strategy. But as the year progresses and you learn that teams are switching up their strategies and you're trying to work on your counters for that and whatnot, I feel like you don't want to open yourself up to give people more VOD than they already have, especially if you're working on something new. I know a big thing in Overwatch is you never let teams know like what heroes you're playing before the match starts because if they know, because you can't see until you get in your first engagement, and
Mhm.
sometimes that first engagement will win you the game. If you know the composition I'm about to play, you know exactly how to counter me, and my opening break doesn't matter anymore. And you know exactly
Yeah.
what I'm going to do and how we're going to play off one another. At the beginning of the season, there's so much value in streaming them, and they get numbers. Like they do very well to just see how a team's competing. But I think as the year progresses, for the sake of competitive integrity, they don't or they wouldn't want to.
Mhm.
Um, like imagine if you were, you know enough about Call of Duty. Imagine if you knew exactly on Search and Destroy where we were all going at the beginning of the map.
Yeah, search is probably the toughest one of like those are that you can't scrim or scrim that you can't stream. Like that's like the core thing of like you guys like have like your like set plays just like sports like yo like this team likes to like do this or like this person always has bombs. So like if you kill them, you know that's bomb. Or like teams have their strats of like those you can't stream. But I guess is there teams that do record and send off their scrim VODs to teams that could be playing the team that they're scrimming against? If that
I don't
like is
know.
that a thing?
I don't think they would. Not that I've heard of. I haven't heard that going on because I feel like if that was the case, then teams wouldn't have to scrim if they were just getting all the VOD in the first place. Because like when they're
Yeah.
scrimming these streams, like say we play LA Thieves today, like we're learning about them at the time. So like say New York is supposed to play Thieves later on, but we send them our VOD. It's like, all right, what's the point of even scrimming them? We can just watch VOD and know exactly what they do. Like we don't have to learn on the fly. And it's just practice. You get reps, you get in gunfights, you try different rotations, different people playing the hill, what have you. So I don't think that is a thing. And there's a part of me that thinks it's like an unwritten rule to not do that.
Not yeah, because then it's like and like say like they played them later, like in a like either a champs or something like that would be super scummy to like record your team scrimming them and then the team that they're playing, you can just send them all of their VOD. Because I'm assuming if you know that you're going to play a team at like champs or soon, you're not going to scrim them to show
Exactly.
what you're doing, right? So like if there's a team that did play them, sending their VOD to them would be like super scummy to be like because then they know your kind of strats going into like the next match, right? Like
Exactly. Like if we were to play New York tomorrow, like we wouldn't scrim them today, or
exactly.
even like or this week probably. But like after we play each other, on Monday, be like, yo, you want to scrim? Like it's already all said and done, so it'll go that way. So last piece I have for you before we start wrapping things is if you could go back in time and change one thing about your content creation journey, like when you started, that would really help you now. Like if you could take what you know now and apply it to when you were first starting, what would you do? Would that be team building? Would that be content over streaming? What would be your advice, I guess, to someone who's first starting?
Yeah. Yeah. I would probably say to be streaming less hours and doing more content. The thing that's a trap of streaming is that you can like stream all day, right? I see so many people. It's like, yo, Joe, like I clocked in like 12 hours and like I didn't see any growth. I'm like, well, what else? Like, did you post any YouTube videos, TikToks, like anything? Like, well, I got some gameplay that I posted. I'm like, yeah, but like everybody's doing that. And I, even now, still like have that same trap. And I think that so many people want to see streamers doing other things. So I wish during like the OG days, like I could have like done like vlogging more or doing just anything that wasn't just playing the game because people want to see creators outside their setup, right? Doing other things, doing podcasts, right? Like doing other things that everybody else isn't doing because everybody streams and everybody does gaming content, right? And I wish from the start I had that core of like the vlogging content, the podcast stuff, like doing more of that kind of stuff. I wish I started that way earlier.
I think there's so much value in lifestyle content, which you're obviously leaning into yourself nowadays. But, if you're a new streamer, how interesting it would be, and it doesn't sound interesting to the person that's going to make it. Here's a day in the life of a Twitch streamer who gets 0 viewers.
A,
Like,
a
how interesting that would be to watch?
100%. And on top of that, I love to see And yeah, it sounds dumb. Seeing what people do throughout their day, where they like to go eat, what kind of coffee it sounds like so stupid, but like what kind of coffee they like, what their town looks like, what kind of shit. Like, I like that kind of stuff. Like, that is something that I watch every morning, like while I'm eating breakfast. Like, I'll just pull up a video of like a stream or like what somebody's doing for like a vlog. Like, I love that kind of stuff. And I know a lot of other people do. And I see so many creators fall, especially new creators, fall into the trap of like, I'm streaming for 12 hours a day, I've seen like no growth. And there's a very like famous saying, which I think is kind of true, but also like it kind of, but like, is you're never growing when you're live. And I feel like that is true. I saw the most growth when I was doing everything else but streaming, YouTube videos, TikTok, everything else. I saw the most growth to my stream like when I was doing other things off stream. And I agree, but also like, you have to also stream too, I think. But yeah,
It's like having a business. Just because you open up a store, you know, and like down the road, doesn't mean people are gonna come. You have to make people know that that store exists. So the way to do that nowadays is content. We're in the, you know, it's a double-edged sword, the internet. People suck, but it also changes lives. You know, like you have to be everywhere. It's marketing at the end of the day. You are your own business when you decide to go live. So you have to run it like a business.
dude, I'm so dude. I could talk about that. We could talk about that for 5 podcasts. I say that to people, even new creators. I'm like, yo, your brand, your name, your everything, that is your business. And they're like, well, it's just like a hobby for me. I'm like, okay, if it's just a hobby, that's great. Like, I'm glad, but like, don't expect anything then. Like, if you want to actually take content seriously, you have to run it like a business. Start a freaking LLC, run your brand like a business, because that is how you're going to actually grow it. It is a business. This is your name. It's your brand. This is everything, right? And I see so many people that like, it's not a trap, but it's like a thing of being like, I'm just having fun, and like 100%, nothing wrong with that. But until you start taking it seriously when it comes to sponsorships, teams, orgs, your content, everything, you have to have that brain of like, I'm competing against everybody else. Everybody else, at the end of the day, I'm competing for subscribers, for viewers, for viewership, for sponsors, everything. It is a business, and I try to get everybody on that path. And some people just are like, I'm just having fun, which is fine too. But
yeah, if you do it for fun, totally fine. But there's only so many pieces of pie, and everyone's fighting for that pie. So you got to do everything in your power to do that. And not to be an old head for a second, because obviously that you threw the LLC in there. And when a lot of people think of, you know, LLC, they're like, oh yeah, it's just making things more official. Yes, it is, but there's also tax benefits, which taxes do exist, kids.
yes, please pay your taxes. Dude, we gotta have a part 2. Or if there's a comment section, let us know. All right, please. If anyone wants a part 2, we're down for part 2. I say that all the time too. Taxes, brother. I have literally going to school for finance, right? But I've had like creative friends like, I got like a monitor. I'm like, did you write that off? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Like, you wrote off the monitor, right? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, what about the brand new mouse you got, mouse pad you got, food you got on stream, freaking? I'm like, you're writing that off, right? Like the camera, they're like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, oh, brother, like it blows my mind. Like, it's just not like, people just don't talk about it. And it's like, I feel like that's also an untapped thing of teaching creators like about the business side of it. People don't even write off the equipment they're buying or gas they're going to go get the equipment. I'm like, oh no.
I definitely think we could do a pod too. If people are interested, let us know. But we could really deep dive into, you know, the old head side of things with the, you know, the financial literacy and, you know, the business side of things. And I do think that's very interesting. But, you know, I'm only willing to do things that people are willing to listen to. So you let us know if you actually want to listen to. Last thing I got for you, Joe, and then we'll end it. Where does Joewo go from here? What's the next step for Joewo?
Next step is creating more of a Joewo household name, doing more vlogging content, sports content, everything that's outside of gaming, but still in gaming. So I'm still doing the same gaming stuff. Obviously, I still love Warzone, love gaming, but doing other things to just branch out outside of the gaming industry. I have so many friends that are athletes, not in like a flex way, but like friends that like play COD that are athletes, like doing like content series, or like going to see their stream setups, their life, what they do as professional athletes, and then playing COD, or like doing other things that make streamers human, right? Because like I said, there's so many streamers that don't go outside, and people love to see that. So like doing other things that are outside of gaming, that is like the next step.
Oh yeah. I give every guest on this podcast the opportunity to ask me one question before we say goodbye. Do you have? It could be funny, it could be serious, whatever you want to do. You could ask me anything you would like. I am trying to drag my words on for so much longer. It's like I'm trying to fill an essay that I need to do a
I, lo-
certain amount of words for.
I love it. Okay. If you could be anything in your life, any job outside of this job, obviously, what would that job be and why?
I would want to be a guidance counselor at an elementary school. I feel like that is such an impressionable age for some people, and I feel like with the card I was dealt growing up, I can relate to what a lot of kids nowadays are doing. So I feel like I could be that voice of reason for them and just kind of like someone to point them in the direction and actually give them advice on something that I've also gone through. Because, as someone, say you go to therapy or some shit, like when you first start off, and I think therapy's great, I'm not knocking that. But when you first start going, you're like, why am I going to tell this person about everything that's going on with me if they can't relate to it? It's like that mutual understanding with them that I feel like could really benefit someone in the future. So I feel like if, I went back to school and, none of this stuff really existed, I would want to, do something in a guidance counselor type way.
I love that freaking answer because I like prior to all the gaming and all that kind of stuff, I had a role for about I don't even know, my senior freshman college somewhere, I think it was. And I had a role as a child life specialist role, and their job was basically to just make kids' lives better when they're it was here in Charlotte, and dude, it was like like a dream job, which seemed like so cool to just make kids' lives better anytime they're like sick, right? So it was like really cool to see them like get like kids like toys or like go talk to them or just make their life better anytime they're sick. And that if I wasn't streaming, that would be like the dream job because that was so cool.
We're very similar, Joe. In life, on the basketball court, in Warzone, we're very similar. We're both just absolute electric factories when it comes to everything. So we are
Yes,
very
sir.
similar. But
The
so
freaking duo.
hell yeah. That'll do it for this episode of the Quick Fix. Joe, do you want to tell people where they can find you on socials?
You can find me at twitch.tv/Joewo, Joewo on TikTok, YouTube, everywhere.
Hell yeah. Thank you everyone for listening. I am Crispy. This is Joewo, and we'll see you on the next one.
Appreciate it, guys. Peace.